Hello. I've always wanted to try building. Seeing people just build absolutely grand things kind of made me want to try it. So that's what I decided to do. I also wanted to try to use the tools that they use as well. And as someone with no building experience, I need all the help I can get. The main tools being WorldEdit and Axiom. Axiom being a much more advanced tool of WorldEdit. So after downloading the mod, reading the tutorial, and messing around in it, I decided to start building. What I wanted to build was a snow village on a mountainside. This was because I thought it'd be pretty cool to make, and because I saw a cool looking picture on Google Images. I first began by building a small base to start my much larger build. I started off using the elevation tool to create a small boundary on the base. I then swapped tools in order to build faster, as well as I was somewhat impatient using the elevation tool. And several minutes later, I got this, which I thought looked pretty good. I then decided to do a bit more elevation, which I think made it look a bit better. While looking around, I saw a gap in the wall, though I decided to keep it because I thought I could use it as a sort of entrance into the village. After furthering my build and examining it a little bit more closely, I realized something. This isn't really going anywhere. So I decided to delete a few bits of it in order to make it look more like a mountain. However, doing it this way was taking a bit longer, so I decided to use WorldEdit to speed things up. Which was a bad idea. So after deleting nearly half of everything, I got the result that I wanted. Which admittedly doesn't look like much, but I'll fix it, don't worry. And there we go. Now it's starting to look like an actual mountain. And after doing a bit more building, it was time to move on to the painting. Which would have been a lot easier if I knew what I was doing. Because I didn't want a full snowy mountain, I still wanted some stone to be shown. So I kinda was struggling in order to make it look good. And it was basically just paint, examine, erase, and repaint. And after a while of struggling, I decided to come back later and move on to the next thing, the inside of the mountain. This was because I kept the hole in the wall even after I deleted and rebuilt a few stuff, because I still wanted to make a sort of cave-in entryway into the village. And after a bit of building and deleting, I built my cave. Also, side note, apparently, in the elevation tool, there's this thing called a height map, where if you choose one of the images and use the elevation tool, it makes a small mountain, which would have been a bit more helpful. Anyway, I decided to delete everything in order to repaint everything to make the snow mountain look more like a snow mountain. And once I was finished with Axiom, I decided to paint the rest by hand. And after a while of building, I was finished with the mountain. And overall, I thought it looked pretty good. So now it's time to paint the cave. I was seeing what looks best and decided on mainly ice and snow because that's what's usually found and for me looked the best. And after adding some lanterns and a pathway, I was finished with the cave. I then spent some time on a bridge, because I thought that looked a lot better than having just a plain pathway up in the mountain. I didn't want the bridge to lead to the houses, rather I wanted it up front, that way it'd look more like a cliffside village. I added some beams to the bridge, as well as a small viewing spot inside the mountain. And now it was time for the final part, the house building. I didn't really have much of a plan for what I wanted the houses to look like or for where I wanted to place them. It basically just came down to would this be a good spot to have one. However, the one thing that I did plan on not doing was building the same roof style. because since I was using similar or somewhat of the same blocks when building the main base of the house, I didn't want to use the same roof because it would just look like a copy and paste. Though if it did end up being the same style, I would try to use a different block or a different color of the block. But that basically was my entire thought process when building and designing the houses. Also, due to me building the bridge a bit strangely, I decided to fill in the space and add more houses. Afterwards, I decided to decorate the place a little bit and added a few lampposts. However, I didn't like the color of the lampposts, so I had to break the blocks and replace them. Though upon further examination, I realized that the other one was better, so I had to undo everything. And then I completed my build by building 2 additional houses. And there we go. Though I did plant just a few trees for some scenery. And now it's time to do some biome painting. This is because I want the area to snow, and to do that, I need to change the biome. So all I have to do with this tool is simply just paint over the area I want, and once it's highlighted green, the biome has been changed. So I spent some time painting over the forest, the mountain, and the houses. So now if I change the weather to rain, it should snow. While looking around, I noticed that there was still some space left, so I decided to fill it with just a few more houses. And after adding just a few more lampposts, I finished the build. And there we go, the full finished product. I hope you enjoyed watching this as I enjoyed building it, and I'll see you next time.